Oh, it's video?
Yeah, video now.
Okay, let me see. I'll do one like I did ages ago. What we're building here is what they call a mass rocket heater. I'm going to show you a little bit how this works. What I did was I took a 6-inch elbow. I took a 6-inch piece. In this case, I kind of measured it off where the barrel sits. So my piece on the elbow came out to be about 10-11 inches long. I'll put another 6-inch barrel on this side. So what I have here is, I have a feed tube. This is where I put my wood into. What I'll do is I start a little fire down in here. I'll stick the wood in. The fire pulls the air, drafts the fire horizontally instead of vertically like most fireplaces go. The heat and the smoke then come up here, through here, just like they would a normal chimney. Now in most fireplaces you lose most of your heat coming out of this tube.
Up to 95%.
Yeah, up to 95%, yeah. A lot of heat coming out of this tube that you lose out of your fireplace going right up out into the air. So what the mass rocket heater does is it creates a tube that gets really, really hot. And what I have here is I have a 6-inch tube inside of an 8-inch tube. I brought 6 inches through and I brought it straight up.
That's why you said 6 and 8.
And then
you
I
put the 8 over it.
I put the 8-inch tube around it, and I've got this all packed in with clay and vermiculite, a mixture of clay and vermiculite. Vermiculite is like volcanic rock. Now the whole idea is this is kind of like a triple wall pipe, but opposite in the fact that when you go to the store buy a triple wall pipe, it has insulation in it so the outside can't get hot. We've got this filled with clay and vermiculite so that when this gets hot, it will get hot and get very hot and it'll stay hot.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay? So now what happens then is the fire goes through here, burns horizontally, the smoke comes up. Approximately 1.5 inches to 2 inches above this tube is where this can is going to sit. And it'll sit right on top of the whole thing, and the smoke can come up here and it will hit the lid, and the whole can itself is going to get really hot just like the pipe. And when the smoke comes up here, it circulates around, and this whole can and the inner pipe here reburn the smoke.
It becomes an afterburner.
Yeah, it creates a, essentially like a gasifier.
Now this thing accommodates both of these holes, right?
Yes, in this case here I could have cut a hole here and a hole here.
Now will they have to be sealed?
Yeah.
As good as you can?
From each other?
No, not separate. Just once you put the barrel down, will you have to try to seal beneath the barrel?
In most cases, a lot of people did use a barrel that they've got the whole hole cut out on, which means then you've got to go ahead and pack stuff in.
Oh, you just made a smaller hole.
Yeah, all the way around the barrel. Because,
so you just got to pack something in between.
Yeah, because this barrel, when it comes right down to it, it's going to be airtight. It's going to sit on here, and then I'm going to pack more cob in underneath of it, and so that it's essentially airtight, so the smoke can come up, and it can't leave the barrel anywhere except for this hole.
What about this offshoot here?
All right, now this is essentially the exhaust. And what I've got right at the immediate moment is just kind of a short little piece coming up, and I'm going to run it out the window, and this is going to serve me. This is going to be good for, testing purposes. What most people do is they run, about 15 foot of the piping down the wall, and then they kind of U it around and run another part back up, and then they run it up and out, and they build a couch over it, and then they sleep on them, sit on them, all kinds of things.
But this is just a prototype.
Yeah, this part here is going to work really well as far as the exhaust part of it goes. I won't get it too packed in and stuff, because like I say, later on in the future I'll end up, building more, but right now this thing has got a little bit of money on it. I bought the barrel, a few of the pieces I already had, a few of the pieces I bought. As far as the bricks go, I had those.
Oh, tell us about the bricks. You said they're fancy.
Yeah, these particular bricks, I had got them out of some grass. They tore a bunch of houses down in the area, and there were different things in different yards left over after the demo crews come through. And I had pulled a bunch of these bricks out one day. I had them sitting outside the back door here for about 3 years now. And so I was thinking about building this thing. I was to see how many bricks I had, and I was looking at those. Well, they say AP Green Empire DP on them. And so I looked at those. I looked them up on the internet. Turns out they're a brick made from the early 1920s. They stopped making them in about 1935. They're considered to be the best fire brick you can buy.
Wow, there you go.
The best fire brick ever made. These things actually still today They're used. You can't buy new ones. They sell for $10 a piece on eBay.
Wow, how many you got?
I was thinking I had like 39, but when I put this together, I was only counting like 29. So I don't know if I still got 10 more out in the yard.
They're probably out in the yard.
I had to go dig them up out of the yard. I had most of them, going around some plants and some other things, but it's not necessarily.
And this is just clay you dug out of the frozen ground today.
Yeah, this is clay, and what this is what they call cob. All right. Most of the time, the standard principles around concrete: some Portland, some sand, some fiber, some water. Okay. Well, in this case, we're making essentially a natural kind of concrete. I have, instead of Portland, I have clay, and then I have sand. For the fiber here, it's straw.
Hey, didn't the Egyptians do this?
And remember, use straw. Hay is for horses. And so then I mix all that together.
But this isn't really straw.
Huh?
This is something.
Technically, really not. This is
Just something you found by the edge of the garage.
Yeah, my garage was growing up the stuff, and it essentially it is straw.
Looks like straw, yeah.
See, hay is for horses. Straw is
straw is just a hollowed out.
Straw is hollow.
Something that was alive.
Straw is hollow, and hay is not. And the difference between the two is if you have hay, obviously, like in a farm, up in the barn, self-combustible, keeps in a lot of moisture, all that kind of thing. Where straw is hollow, so it will air out, won't develop mold and some of those other kinds of things.
It's an insulator.
And it works better as a fiber, so I mean, it comes in. But as you can see, this is essentially as earth and cob. Right now, you look at it and you say, oh my gosh, there's just mud with some straw in it, and it just looks crazy.
When you get the big screen down here, it'll look a lot different.
But when this is all done and dried, and I've got enough of the cob built up the way that I want to, I'll come back through on this, and all this stuff will be dried. And then what I'll do is I'll just take some light sandpaper.
Oh, to make it look cool.
Smooth
Oh,
stuff
cool.
down so
Mold it.
so that the straw is not sticking out in spots looking ugly and this and that. And then I will take some clay, and I will get the clay just lightly wet and essentially surface the whole thing with a coating of clay alone by itself so that it's completely smooth. Looks like a
You can even
clay
use a
thing.
wallpaper brush, maybe.
And then I can go buy some paint just like you would use for any
Pigment,
clay
yeah.
products to put in a kiln. And of course this thing is going to get hot, so it's going to cook my clay sooner or later, kind of like a kiln. And and that seals it up, makes it look a lot nicer, a lot of those kind of things. I mean, when you're done with something like this, you want it to look like Hobbitville. There's no doubt about it. So down here I may do a lot. I may cob some of the inside walls.
Put a couple bumper stickers on it.
Yeah, get a little room around
Big screen.
little room around it or something.
It's the man cave plus cob.
Now the other thing about mine is, people probably wondering, they got you got it kind of cockeyed in the middle of the floor, and some of that seems kind of straight. Well, I did this for a specific reason. I was looking at a number of different things in my basement. Number one, I decided I didn't really want my barrel sitting right underneath my gas lines. So I figured, this is probably not a real good place to put the barrel over here. Over here would have been, straight out the window and could have been somewhat kind of convenient, but still, I'm looking at the gas lines right above my head. So at this point, I figured this works better. I scoot over, I get myself away from the gas lines. I have a tube right here that's where I feed the wood, and this is the cold intake from upstairs. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on putting a hole, a pipe here, so that I can just drop the pieces of wood down and then they'll land in the hole and keep burning. I don't have to run up and down the steps.
I see.
On my barrel over here, when I'm creating cob all around this, I'm going to create the cob all the way up to the top of my barrel. And then I'm going to create essentially a cob box that's closed on 3 of the sides and the top, open on the bottom so that the heat can come off of the barrel into it, and it'll have a hole in the front which I can put some of this ductwork in and shoot it right over into this square box, which is my cold air return.
Okay, so when your fan runs on your blower, it'll...
So yeah, when this gets really warmed up and is doing really good, then I can just flick the fan on upstairs and it will suck all the heat off of it right out through my pipes, kind of like when they connect a wood burner to a furnace.
How soon can you have one put in my garage?
To be honest with you, if somebody wanted one of these made, and if they were paying for it, you can see we're out there digging frozen ground and kind of horsing around, getting our clay for free and our straw for free and our sand and some of those things. If somebody wanted to pay to have one of these things built, you got to figure a few days at the most.
Cool.
And because you can go someplace and get a bunch of clay and a bunch of sand, and if you had a mixer, you'd mix it up really quick. And I say a few days is because
it's got to dry.
You could build you could build the one piece and get it all up in the cob and everything, and essentially have it done really quick. But then you'd have your dry time in there, And you know, you've got some sanding and painting to do and stuff like that to make it look nice.
I can see
And-
that it's kind of, the moisture has changed already in it.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it.
yeah, just the
It's,
density of
it's,
it.
it's not as shiny.
Yeah, it starts setting up pretty quick. At the same time, it's kind of cold down here, so I mean, I did this a couple of days ago, but I can feel that I can still kind of impression the top of it with my thumb.
And if you wanted to make one all out of vermiculite really quick, you could, right? It just wouldn't be all natural.
Yeah, yeah, and well, you'd still want to mix it with clay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's holding the vermiculite together.
You know, when they poured my
Essentially.
mom's pool, that's what they did. The deck, they poured. It was actually vermiculite.
Yeah, vermiculite.
Because it was softer. They said.
Yep. Yep. And I actually, believe it or not, the vermiculite I used technically wasn't even really vermiculite.